I hired a babysitter, 24 female, for my kids, preschool and toddler 2 weeks ago. My husband works shifts while I work long hours at the office. So far we've had no issues till yesterday. I came home at 6 p.m. and noticed the babysitter's wet hair and new clothes. She told me she took a shower after one of the kids spilled milk on her. I was confused and visibly upset, but she tried to reassure me the kids were fine because my husband watched them while she took her shower, which only lasted for a few minutes. I was more confused that my husband was home when he had a shift to cover. I told her I didn't think it appropriate for her to shower in my home like that. She argued that it was fine and that she had no choice and couldn't leave the milk on her like that. We argued and my husband heard the commotion and got involved. He said it wasn't a big of a deal as I was making it out to be, but I told the babysitter that I did not appreciate how she ignored how I felt about this and still dismissed my feelings. She went home, but we still argued on the phone. Finally, she thinks she's done nothing wrong and said I was being unfair when I mentioned potentially cutting her salary after that. My husband keeps saying I'm overreacting and the poor girl couldn't handle having milk stains on her body and clothes, but I couldn't help feeling it was inappropriate and she should have checked with me. Am I the idiot for my reaction? Just for info, I'm the one who pays her, not my husband. I told her to call or text, always available, if anything happened. I didn't even know my husband was home at the time. He said he was feeling a bit sick and swapped shifts with a co-worker. I didn't know how big the stain was, but she argued about being covered in milk for 6+ hours. As for the question of why my husband didn't go to work, why exactly should she have called and asked for your permission when clearly your husband had already given her permission to take a shower? Someone taking a shower is one of those decisions where both of your opinions need to be thoroughly thought through. Anyways, you are creating drama out of nothing. You are the idiot and you have no legitimate reason to cut anything off of her salary. You hired a babysitter. Your husband was at home when he was supposed to be working. The babysitter went to clean up. I'm seeing a potentially bigger problem here, OP. Is this really about milk? I feel like in these types of situations it's more like, no, I definitely trust my husband. It's the other women I don't trust. This is the whole reason OP is upset, but she's only willing to take it out on a presumably younger girl and not talk to her actual husband. Lame. Info. How long has your husband been having an affair with the babysitter? Did he choose to hire her? OP, I don't understand why you're more concerned about her taking a shower than your husband was home with her when he was supposed to be working. If he didn't end up working, why did he keep her there? Even if everything was fine and she just needed a shower after having milk spilled on her, who cares? You sound unhinged for being upset about this. Exactly, the issue is trust. If she trusts her husband, her response should have been something like this. First, tell the babysitter, sorry to hear about the milk, see you next time. The next thing should have been a concern for her husband. How are you feeling right now? Do you think you need to see a doctor, etc.? And if the husband's condition isn't serious, perhaps tell him, hey, I wish you'd called or texted me that you were staying home sick, I would have checked in on you. OP only subconsciously realizes that her conscious mind hasn't caught on to it yet, but she doesn't trust her husband. Everyone's the idiot here. Hubby for cheating, Sitter for facilitating under another woman's shared roof, and OP for misdirecting her ire. My female 31 brother 33 got married days ago. He and his now wife sent me an invitation and mentioned a no +1 rule. I wasn't allowed to bring my wheelchair-bound boyfriend of 4 years with me. I tried to discuss an exception to this rule because, for one, my boyfriend is family and no one would deny that fact. And two, I couldn't find proper arrangements to have someone watch him, I'm his primary caregiver, while I was gone. I brought him with me to the wedding. My brother and his bride were livid and argued with me about it. My brother said some hurtful stuff, but I was glad he didn't say it in front of my boyfriend. I told him it was not like my boyfriend was making a fuss or being distracting. He just remained quiet and respectful of everyone around him. My brother argued that none of that mattered, and that his trust and respect for me were gone the minute I decided to stomp on his wedding boundaries and override the rules. My parents understood my side, but also said it was my brother's wedding and I should have respected his rule for non-official couples. We've not been talking since the wedding. I tried calling him but kept getting hung up on. His wife texted me yesterday to stop calling. Am I the idiot? It's not like I brought a hyperactive child to the wedding. I think he might have overreacted, but I'm not sure. OP, he said no +1s. If you found that disrespectful to your relationship, or simply impractical, then your option was to decline your invitation and stay home, not have your boyfriend crash the party because you decided that wouldn't be overly disruptive. You are the idiot. Not only did you go against a rule, you attempted to use your boyfriend's disability to get your way. You should be ashamed. Ugh, a guy in a wheelchair here, although I'm fully self-sufficient. This makes me feel for your boyfriend. Not only did you disrespect your brother's wishes, but you also made your boyfriend the center of more attention than was warranted. You say he remained quiet and respectful. He probably was quiet because he wanted to crawl under a rock. Hey, look at me, I'm the cause of strife at a wedding through no fault of my own. Is your boyfriend an adult? If he needs personal assistance, why isn't he the one arranging that while you're gone? And why do you refer to personal assistance as watching him like you're getting a babysitter? Did your boyfriend want to go? Why isn't what he thought and wanted a factor in this story at all? Why do you generally talk about him like he's a child? This was my thought process as well. Hope he doesn't speak about their boyfriend like an adult partner at all. The wording is very peculiar. Honestly, everyone sucks here. Them for not inviting your boyfriend of 4 years and you for bringing him against their wishes. Personally, I wouldn't have gone at all if my long-term partner wasn't invited. I'm 7 months pregnant with my first child. The baby is also my husband's family's first grandchild and nephew, which everyone is excited about. Being an only child, I lost my mother and father, so there's not much of my family. Since the death of my parents 1 year ago, my husband's family has welcomed me with open arms as part of them, and I've become very close to my mother-in-law and sister-in-law. I always wanted to have a gender reveal, and I trusted my sister-in-law to organize everything. I think gender reveal is tacky, but my mom was the type who loved it, and she always dreamed of having grandchildren. She said she was made to be a grandmother. She can't even meet my son or even know I'm pregnant, so I wanted to do something for her, not for me. Everyone knew the importance and why I always wanted to have a gender reveal with my mom. Well, 3 days before the party, I started receiving messages from all my husband's relatives, and even close friends, congratulating me on my baby being a boy. I went to ask what happened, and my sister-in-law confessed that she let it slip to my mother-in-law, and she told everyone the gender of the baby after knowing because she couldn't hold it, and it took proportions beyond what they imagined. Nobody calls me to tell me this. The party was cancelled, and I was heartbroken and extremely hurt by the two of them. Usually they accompanied me to the ultrasound, shopping for the baby's room, and my mother-in-law would stay at the delivery time. But after this breach of trust, I stopped inviting them and asked them to respect my boundaries when they pressured me to go. Honestly, I didn't even send them the baby shower invite because I really avoided contact with them as much as possible because everyone knew before me that it was a boy. My husband started complaining that I was pushing them away because of a mistake that could happen and that I was being harsh. So yesterday he brought this up, and when I said that I still didn't feel comfortable with them, he said, "Soon you'll tell me that my mother won't be able to go to the birth." I think my face showed my response, and he started saying I was too hard on her because she was just excited and blah blah. I had my limit and said, "If you keep pushing me, it won't just be your mother who won't be in the delivery room, so either stop or you won't come in." He started to say that I was crossing lines and that he had a right to have this moment. I was taking this with them too far. He slept on the couch and doesn't talk to me more than necessary. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. This wasn't a mistake, this was a choice. Your sister-in-law made a choice and told mother-in-law. Mother-in-law then chose to tell everyone else in the family. Your husband is making a choice to pressure you into things, leaving you to make some choices of your own now. You're allowed to make your own choices. Nobody, not even the husband, has a right to be in the delivery room. It may seem harsh, but it's true. Especially since it sounds like the word didn't just spread, but she told everyone. That's not a mistake, that's on purpose. OP, your sister-in-law slipping could have been an honest mistake. Your mother-in-law spreading it around was a concise choice. You may be going a little too far with your sister-in-law, again, possible accident, but your mother-in-law made her choice and will now deal with the consequences. OMG, you were the last to know. One person is an accident, the whole family was a choice. Did anyone even apologize to you? Your husband is a huge idiot for thinking mommy's excitement is a higher priority than the woman who is actually pregnant. It sounds like your husband is using you as an incubator to give mommy and sissy a new toy. No way should his mother be at the birth. It's not a dinner theatre where your husband is entitled to sell tickets to the show. Everyone else can hang out in the waiting room until the baby is born and you're ready for them to visit. Honestly, mother-in-law sounds like the type who would put out her phone and live stream the birth without telling OP. When my daughter was 2, I'll call her Sarah, my ex-husband of 5 years had an affair with my close friend. I immediately broke off the relationship. However, we remained civil for Sarah's sake. We decided Sarah would live with me. I bought my house before we were married, and we didn't want to uproot her too much. At the time, he earned around £18,000 per year, whereas I made more than triple that. So as far as child support goes, he paid £150 and I picked up all living expenses, except the trips he took her out on when she saw him once a week. He could have given more, but as I said, I earned a good wage and wasn't struggling, so put the £150 a month along with £100 of my own money into a trust account for when she turned 21. My thought process being that she would have a hefty chunk towards a house deposit, university, etc., whatever she wanted when she was old enough. Until recently, I was always under the impression that he was still struggling with money, from comments he made here and there about how he was struggling, but a few weeks ago he turned up in a new BMW and said he'd started a new job a few months before, so it was clear that at that point he was earning a lot more money. My daughter started coming home with gifts whenever she went to see him, perfume, expensive makeup, etc., which never used to happen. It didn't bother me as she's not spoiled and was very grateful for the gifts, and I was happy she was happy. Yesterday, he called me and said for Sarah's upcoming teen birthday, he and his wife wanted to take her to Florida and asked if I would be willing to pay half. I said no, as I'd already bought her driving lessons and a car and couldn't afford both. He was aware of this as I told him 6 months before what I was planning, and he said he hadn't decided what he was doing yet. But he was welcome to take her and I'd contribute towards spending money for her, or he could go halves on my gift with me. He refused and said if I didn't pay half, he couldn't afford to take her, and I'd have to tell her why. This shook me as I'd never known him to be passive-aggressive before. He then said, "What about all the money I've given you all these years?" He knew I'd been saving it for her and said, seeing as he'd given it to her, he should have a say in how it's spent, and so we should use that for her holiday. I refused and said to him that the money was to provide for his daughter's living expenses, not for holidays. I decided to be responsible with this money and it was for her future, not her birthday. He put the phone down, and since she came home, Sarah has been very quiet with me. She won't say what he has said, but given her reaction to me, I'm guessing it's along the lines of, "Your mum won't let you come with us." I've tried to talk to her and I don't want to badmouth her father, but I don't think I deserve to look like the bad guy in this situation. Am I the idiot? Should I use this money for a holiday for her? Not the idiot, but you need to go back to court and modify child support from your ex because he should be giving your daughter more now that he has a new job. Who knows how long he's been hiding his income? Please don't let him emotionally blackmail you into using money from your daughter's nest egg. She will be grateful to have the money someday. Tell him if he can afford a BMW, he can afford the vacation himself. Agree, he should sell his fancy car instead. The dude wants to play Disney dad and have OP foot the bill. Your ex is a massive idiot for telling your daughter about a vacation he can't afford, then throwing the blame on you. My dad used to pull crap like this. He wouldn't take us on vacation or buy us Christmas or birthday gifts, as he insisted that child support should cover all of that. I was about her age when I went no contact with him, not just due to this, and that lasted for 20 years. I'd flat out tell her though that he asked you to pay for half of the vacation he is taking her on, and that you're not saying she can't go, just that you aren't subsidizing his vacation. Your daughter is old enough to know the truth. You can share the facts without bad-mouthing him. My husband's sister was supposed to be married in September. I chose an item from the registry, but the exact item she'd added had a weird detail. She had explicitly mentioned previously needing option A, but on the registry she accidentally listed option B, so I asked her to make sure I got what she needed, so she knew exactly what I was planning to gift. Sadly, they've now broken up. However, the gift hadn't shipped, so I cancelled it. This past week she reached out to me about it. Since she knew I was purchasing it and we live far away, she was concerned that it had been delivered but someone had stolen it. When I explained that I cancelled it, she was pretty upset. My mother-in-law has now reached out to us about it and feels that I was unkind to cancel the order. However, she feels that since my sister-in-law is clearly going through a difficult time and the holidays are approaching, it would have been more appropriate to let the gift reach her anyway. These are unfortunate circumstances, but this was a substantial gift, $700, and pretty well above the threshold of what I'd normally spend for a typical holiday gift. Before it comes up, I'll mention short and sweet that my husband is in the military and currently deployed, so that's why he isn't a big piece in this puzzle and I'm soloing this awkward adventure. So, am I the idiot for cancelling a wedding gift when the wedding was cancelled? Not the idiot. When a wedding is cancelled, it would only be polite for the bride and groom to return the wedding gifts. That's the norm. Please do not feel guilty about cancelling the gift. A pick-me-up for your sister-in-law would be a gift card for a manicure or maybe a facial, not a $700 gift from the registry. That is an expensive gift, even in terms of wedding gift standards. Exactly. Who puts a $700 gift on a registry? If someone demanded that from me, I would just ignore it and bring whatever I see right. A gift is usually in exchange for your presence. Is sister-in-law going to take OP and her husband out to a lavish meal and party, all expenses paid? I don't think so. There's nothing to celebrate, so there's no need for a gift. Honestly, OP is lucky it hadn't shipped, because it wouldn't have been returned otherwise. I feel bad for the guests whose gifts did ship because they won't get them back. You don't get almost got married but didn't gifts. She almost got married and almost got a gift. Poor sister-in-law. People's level of entitlement just blows my mind. I'm not surprised the wedding got cancelled. Mother-in-law, I thought I was doing sister-in-law a kindness, saving her from having to ship the gift back to me. Unless you couldn't mean. You aren't suggesting that she would keep the wedding gifts? Oh, mother-in-law, don't let her do that. People will hate her. Everyone knows gifts have to be returned. She'll be scandalized. I was going to say something similar, but this is even better. Opie, clutch your imaginary pearls and channel any bless-your-heart southern ancestors you may have as you deliver the perfection quoted above. Mother-in-law and sister-in-law are being tacky.